Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be doing 3 very easy 1 to 2 step DIYs using items that I've thrifted recently. So for the first project, I'm using a canvas print that I got off of Goodwill, or at Goodwill, for about $2. And I was really inspired by these music sheet canvases that I've been seeing on Instagram. So I wanted to try to make it myself, but since everything shut down shortly after I purchased all these items, I had to sort of change up the way I transferred the image. So it didn't come out perfect, but maybe I'll redo it once everything returns to normal. But I'm just going to take my favorite ivory paint by Waverly and give this about 3 coats. So I'm using a music sheet image that I found on Google, and I've just printed it out onto some tissue paper. And since I needed it to be as big as possible, I went ahead and resized the image to be the size of an actual piece of paper. And then I just used some masking tape to tape down the tissue paper, kind of like a little present onto the back of the cardstock. And then I'm just going to use a razor blade to cut it out. That way my edges are straight and also so the paper doesn't rip. Now I'm applying a thin layer of Mod Podge so I can glue down the tissue paper, and I'm going to go kind of heavy on the edges, but then using a lighter hand over the ink areas because it will fade if you apply too much. And to try to get it to blend in a little better, I just dry brushed some of that ivory paint over the whole thing, and here's how it turned out. For the second project, I'm using some of these clear bottles. Does anyone else have a collection of hoarded glass bottles from the thrift store? Or maybe that's just me, but I wanted to give these a more romantic look, so I printed out some vintage labels. The round one is actually from Pinterest, and then the rose one is from the Graphics Fairy. I went ahead and put them in a link below just in case you wanted to use them as well. But if you type in the Graphics Fairy into the Google search bar, her website should pop up at the top, and then she has tons of vintage images for you to choose from. Now I'm using some chalk paint to make the labels look a little more aged, and I'm using a stencil brush from Dollar Tree. I like this one because the bristles are super coarse, but I'm just dry brushing on the paint and focusing more on the edges. So I'm just applying the Mod Podge to the back of my labels and then putting them on the bottle just to avoid getting glue everywhere. And then I'm going to take a paper towel and wipe off the excess. And I love how these turned out. This is definitely my favorite one. So for this last project, I wanted to make my own little jadeite pieces because I love them, but they can be pretty expensive. So I found these glass pieces at the thrift store that I really liked the shape of, and then I purchased this green spray paint from the Home Depot that I think makes a great match for the jadeite, and it even has this like pearlescent finish that I love. So I gave it about 3 coats of these short bursts of the spray paint, that way I avoided any dripping. And when it came down to it, I really couldn't paint the other piece. I thought it was too beautiful the way it was, so I just left it. But I really love this green color. I can't wait to make more of these, but this is how everything turned out. So I hope you guys enjoyed these little makeovers that I did. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in my next video.